friends, and thank you so much for coming to spend part of your Tuesday, August 6th, 2024 with me. Somebody just made me laugh in the comments, and it was really funny, and I need to find it. Somebody said, "Did Melanie get lost in the portal?" And then somebody said, "We thought you went to Cancun with Alan Jackson." That's really funny. That is really funny, but alas, it was not true. The internet's a little wonky here today because of the effects of Hurricane Debbie. So prayers up to everybody who's dealing with that in the South. And no, I was not in Cancun with Alan Jackson, but I was in Vegas with the Grateful Dead and John Mayer and friends and family, and had an amazing time. So thank you so much for your concern, but it's really been a very busy week. And then my flight was canceled on Sunday when I tried to come home. And then Delta told me I couldn't leave until the next day. And then they wanted me to fly from Las Vegas to LA and then back to New York. And they said, well, now we can't get home until Tuesday. So there's a lot of craziness going on out there in the real world. A lot of things happening. And it feels like a minute since we've talked about Karen Reed. So we have to get back on track. Yeah, the Sphere was amazing, Jason. I would say go, except for the last weekend of shows is this upcoming weekend, only 3 more shows. And I don't know if they're going to extend the residency, but I hope they do, because if anybody has a chance to go, you should go. Yes, the Sphere is awesome. So awesome, Sean. It's amazing. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll post some of my videos later. I won't ever tell you where I'm going, but I'll tell you where I've been. A lot of crazies on the internet. So thank you for all of your kind comments that you were so worried about me, but I'm fine. I just also, in addition to this YouTube thing that I have, I also have a life and privacy and other such things as that. So thank you so much. John Mayer was there. In fact, John Mayer was down a finger. If you know, you know. Jerry Garcia also had 9 fingers. And John Mayer, it was Jerry Garcia's birthday on Thursday. So that was the first show that I went to of the 3. And it was Jerry's birthday, and John Mayer was playing with, I think it was his fret hand. So his pointer finger, I think he slammed in a door. And it was still amazing. So it was really, really cool. Those of you who are just joining, let's just give it a minute for some people to join. And we like to chit chat. So if you're watching on the replay, you don't need to stop in the comments and tell me to get to the point, because this is what we do here. We chit chat. We talk about things. We let people just off doing Grateful Dead things, Raven. That's what I was doing. They've been following me around since I was about 13 years old. And it was always my happy place. It still is, except back then, before Jerry died anyway, the Grateful Dead was always around twice a year. Spring tour and fall tour. And I used to say it was like setting the reset button of life. All you had to do is make it until the spring tour or the fall tour. Everything would be okay again, because the Grateful Dead had a way of doing that, where there would be tens of thousands of people smiling for 5 hours at a time. And it's pretty cool. If you know, you know. Yes, Wolfie Muse, what's a life? I know. I know. People were so worried about me. I'm like, don't worry. Don't worry about me. Ain't no time to hate. Barely time to wait. There's a lot of time for hate out there, because if you've been watching what's happening in the cesspool or the other things of comments on other places, there's so much hate out there. Why? Yes, it is so healing. If you know, you know, says the confartist. And yeah, isn't it time for a little like healing? So much hate out there, because hate sells. Hate sells. It does. It's like the engagement on Twitter. You get paid for negative engagement. That's why people leave all those hate-filled, nasty comments up there. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Brandy. Yes, American Nana, hate takes too much energy that can be spent elsewhere. I don't have time for it. It is exhausting. Drama and hate sell. And I found something that was so interesting while we wait for some people to come in. I'm going to play it for you, because I thought it was so apropos to what we're talking about all the time. And for hate sells. Bethany Frankel was one of the Desperate Housewives, or the Housewives. She was also on The Apprentice about 100 years ago. Did an interview with Ryan Serhant, and I used to love that show, $1 Million Listing, and he's a real estate broker in New York, and he now has a new Netflix show that's out right now. But they said something that was so interesting on their stream that I wanted to play it for you because it made total sense. So before we get into Karen Reed, let's I want to just play this little thing for you. And if you're watching on replay and you don't want to watch it, just forward ahead. You don't need to be rude about it. But listen to what they say. All right. And she was on the Housewives and people hate her or love her, like whatever. She says, like, if people hate me, I don't care. It's like, it's better than them being indifferent about me. But listen to what they say as they're discussing this. I may cough over the F word, but I found this to be so interesting.
It's gotten really, really intense. And what's weird is that I used to say that sex sells or people used to say that sex sells, and now hate sells. It really does sell. And you could think like
Sure.
that you're being hated, yet the numbers are going up and you're succeeding. And oddly, the hate is turning into success. And it's very counterintuitive.
Misery loves company. You know, it's
yeah.
That's it. I mean, I remember like when $1 Million Listing started, you know, Bravo, the network producers were very focused on wins. Like people want to see people winning for the first, let's say 4 years of our time on air.
This is so interesting. So he's on the show called $1 Million Listing, which I love to watch because I love like looking at real estate that I can't afford. And it was all these amazing like New York City penthouses and, you know, things overlooking Central Park. And so here he's talking about Bravo and how they wanted the show to go. First 4 years that everybody wanted to see him winning and making the deals. So listen.
You're right. People, they want to root for someone. They want to root for someone, they would say.
That's what it was. Yeah, they want to root for you. So, you know, it's going to be messy on this listing, but you got to figure out how to sell it. And there was a lot of pressure because the deals were all, you know, real. And we filmed for a year. And if there was a loss, it was like an issue. And then everything changed in 2016. And all of a sudden it was like, no, people don't want to see you winning anymore because they can't relate to winning. And so they want to see you losing because they can relate to that. And so don't be so nervous about getting everything sold. You know, that big listing over there, impossible to sell. Oh, perfect. Let's see you get fired. And so like the show, the season for those 10 years, first 4 to 5 years was a lot of, yes, awesome. Well, I sold it. Great. And then the next 5 years was like, the market, everything's terrible. You know, losing, crying. And that's what people want. You know, that's what people wanted to see.
That's fascinating because I'm thinking about Housewives plots and I'm thinking about Jen Shah going to jail and I'm thinking about how so many shows have been pitched about divorce and not purchased because
affairs and broken relationships. And,
well, no, but back then.
And it's all about hate and hate sells. And that's what people are so much more interested in watching now. It's so bizarre. So we covered that while we're waiting. Selling Sunset is amazing as well. Definitely speaks to our culture and it's very sad. It's very sad. And I find that the Karen Reed case brings out hateful in so many people. Why? Why can't people just disagree? Why can't the Ashley Benefield case, same thing. I just did a show on that before I jumped on here. I had to get all my documents ready to read with you. Although I'm sure you've heard them read already by 7 different people, but it's what we do. So we're going to read them. We're going to have a hearing on Friday with Karen Reed. I'm going to be here with you for that. And we're going to watch the hearing live together and they're going to argue about what the judge should do about the fact that Karen Reed was essentially almost 100% acquitted on 2 of the 3 charges, and that double jeopardy should apply and that she should not be retried on those 2 charges, murder 2 and leaving the scene. But why is there so much hatred? Why are people so hateful about this case? Why do I have to be fighting these hateful comments constantly? I don't get it. I don't get it. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been practicing law. I've handled accidents, dog bites, cases of domestic violence, cases of representing the victims and survivors of clergy sex abuse against the Rockville Center Diocese on Long Island when the Catholic Church scandal broke. And I am Catholic, by the way. So I've worked with victims of all kinds of things for 30 years. And in my experience of 30 years, Officer John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. He just wasn't hit by a car. I don't care how you feel about Karen Reed. I don't care how you feel about the people that were inside 34 Fairview. I don't care how you feel about Michael Proctor and all of these side pieces and side people that are involved in this scam. I don't care how you feel about Aiden Carney. John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. That's the bottom line. He wasn't. There are no injuries that line up with him being hit by a car. So the hate is just, I don't get it. People can disagree. And that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. And I don't get it. People hate other people so much that they're just willing to go out and attack people, and it's insane. Yes, I did see some news articles on that, Melanie. The standouts around Massachusetts, I don't know what day that was, but there were standouts everywhere. People are fed up. People are mad as hell in Massachusetts, and they're not going to take it anymore. And the reason that there's so much support for Karen Reed and for a person that they don't even know is because people are sick and tired of the BS. They're sick and tired of it, of malicious prosecutions and people being wrongfully convicted and people being wrongfully charged. And this has been going on in Massachusetts for a hell of a long time. And you guys are tired of it. You tell me. It was Sunday. Thank you. I didn't know what day it was for about a week because I was stranded and enjoying myself. So there's that. So it turns out that although the Commonwealth said that no jurors ever contacted them, they finally came out and filed something that said some jurors actually did contact them. So let's take a look at that filing, because this was the one that was filed first, correct? This was the Commonwealth's post-trial notice of disclosure, and this was filed the other day. Except when I do that, it goes away. What? Why does it do that? I need a tech person. I think, Craig, will you come work for me instead? Because you're not so busy right now. Where's Craig when you need him? All right, it's going to have to be a little bit small. I'm sorry. I don't know how to fix this right now. All right, and I really don't have the patience to try and fix it right now. But it is what it is. So here is the Commonwealth's post-trial notice of disclosure that they filed last week. It reads as follows. Now comes the Commonwealth in the above captioned matter and provides notice regarding the defendant's post-trial claims regarding the jury's deliberation. On Sunday, July 21st, 2024, Assistant District Attorney Adam Lally received an unsolicited voicemail on his office's phone line from an individual who identified their self. I don't like when they don't use proper grammar, but they don't want to out this person as a male or female. From an individual who identified their self as a juror by full name and seat number. This individual stated, "It is true what has come out recently about the jury being unanimous on charges 1 and 3. On Friday, July 26, 2024, Assistant District Attorney Adam Lally received another unsolicited voicemail on his office's phone line from this same individual who stated, can confirm unanimous on charges 1 and 3 as not guilty. And as of last vote, 9-3 guilty on the manslaughter charges, on the lower level manslaughter charges. The Commonwealth did not respond to this individual as the Commonwealth is ethically prohibited from engaging in discussions about the jury's deliberative process. Similarly, the Commonwealth received emails from 3 individuals who identified themselves as jurors. Okay, so now we're up to 4 jurors who have contacted the Commonwealth. These individuals indicated that they wished to speak anonymously. On July 16, 2024, the Commonwealth responded to the emails by stating that the Commonwealth would, quote, welcome the opportunity to discuss the evidence or the Commonwealth's case. However, we are ethically prohibited from inquiring as to the substance of your jury deliberations. That would include your individual or the jury's collective thought process, the content of your deliberations, or the reasons for your decisions. It was further explained that the Commonwealth could not promise confidentiality and that the substance of any communications may necessitate disclosure to the defendant or the court. All 3 jurors declined to further communicate with the Commonwealth provided no information about the jury's purported votes. So the Commonwealth has been contacted by 4 jurors and could not contact them any further. And we know that because we know the defendant's papers said that they need special permission from the court in order to speak to the jurors. And that's why 2 of the jurors reached out through intermediaries to the defense, right? So then there was another filing on the 5th, which was yesterday, by the defense, which reads as follows. This is defendant Karen Reed's 3rd supplemental memorandum in support of her motion to dismiss. Now comes the defendant Karen Reed by and through undersigned counsel and hereby respectfully submits this 3rd supplemental memorandum in support of her motion to dismiss filed July 8th of 2024. As reflected in the attached supplemental affidavit of David Yannetti, a deliberating juror in this case, Juror B, placed an unsolicited phone call to attorney Yannetti confirming that the prior affidavit of David Yannetti accurately quoted his or her text message saying it was not guilty on 2nd degree. No one thought she hit him on purpose or even thought she hit him on purpose. And that was the supplemental affidavit of David Yannetti, paragraph 4. Juror B clarified that he or she meant to write, no one thought she hit him on purpose or even knew that she had hit him. So there you go. There's the answer to your question. We had questioned whether they were talking about the chain of events that led to his death and how they could dismiss on count 3 if they didn't even believe that he was hit by a car, or if they did believe that he was hit by a car. Juror B further confirmed that the jury reached unanimous not guilty verdicts on indictments 1 and 3. She or he believes that every member of the jury, if asked, will confirm that the jury reached not guilty verdicts on indictments 1 and 3. Based on the attached affidavit and all of the reasons set forth in its opening motion, 1st and 2nd supplemental memoranda, and reply, the defense respectfully renews its contention that the jury acquitted Ms. Reed on counts 1 and 3, or alternatively, there was no manifest necessity for a mistrial as to those counts, and therefore the double jeopardy protections of the federal and state constitutions require that those counts not be retried. If the court for any reason would not credit the affidavits of counsel in the same manner as the court would credit identical affidavits from the juror in question, or an affidavit that the juror has reviewed counsel's affidavits and confirms the accuracy of the representations attributed to them, then the defense respectfully requests permission to initiate contact with jurors A, B, D, and E for the sole purpose of asking them to affirm the accuracy of the 3 affidavits of Alan Jackson and the supplemental affidavit of David Yannetti. So there it is, Juror B, who originally reached out through an intermediary, contacted David Yannetti to tell him that indeed what the intermediary had told him was in fact the truth. And let us now look at the supplement to that, which I will find somewhere. And that is here. In this supplemental affidavit, which was also filed yesterday. Yeah, that works better. This is the supplemental affidavit of David Yannetti in support of defendant's motion to dismiss. I, David Yannetti, do hereby depose and state the following is true to the best of my knowledge and belief. 1, I am an attorney licensed in Massachusetts since December 20th, 1989. Oh, he's older than I am. That's awesome. I mean, I just thought he was younger than I was. My main office address is 44 School Street, Boston, Mass. On January 29th, 2022, I was retained to represent the defendant, Karen Reed, regarding the above captioned matter. He's been representing her since her car was seized from her parents' house in Dighton. Same as the date of death of Officer Don O'Keefe, January 29th, 2022. 2, on July 31st, 2024, I received an unsolicited phone call from someone who informed me that he or she was a juror at the trial of this matter. Caller informed me that his or her full name, which confirmed for me that he or she was Juror B, information about whom I had included in my previous affidavit filed in support of this motion. 3, during my phone conversation with Juror B, he or she confirmed for me that the jury reached unanimous not guilty verdicts on indictments 1 and 3. He or she told me that the only charge on which the jury was deadlocked was indictment 2. Juror B told me that he or she was familiar with the affidavit that I previously filed in support of this motion. Juror B confirmed for me that the screenshot of a text message exchange that I referenced in paragraph 4 of that affidavit was accurate. Specifically, Juror B confirmed that he or she had texted it was not guilty on second degree and split in half for the second charge. When the judge sent us back with that Hernandez thing to look at the other side, it turned into a bully match. I thought the prosecution didn't prove the case. No one thought she hit him on purpose or even thought she hit him on purpose. Sick, which means that's exactly what it said. They gave us free counseling forms when we left. Juror B clarified, however, that he or she meant to write, no one thought she hit him on purpose or even knew that she had hit him. 5, Juror B believes that every member of the jury, if asked, will confirm that the jury reached not guilty verdicts on indictments 1 and 3. Juror B believes that even jurors who were leaning towards a conviction on some parts of the indictment for 2 will confirm that the other 2 indictments were acquittals. He or she believes that other jurors have been reluctant to come forward because there's so much public and media attention focused on this case. And that was signed by David Atty on August 4th, 2024, and for posterity. Today is August 6th, so he signed that on Sunday. Look at him working on a Sunday. So we will have a hearing on Friday. The judge has already said the reason she set the trial or the retrial all the way out through January is that she expects an appeal of whatever is decided with regard to this motion and the potential acquittals on counts 1 and 3. And that is why she set it so far out into the future. Hello, Glamasseuse. Thanks for the 10. In 1990, Andy Bev appealed the verdict due to confusing jury instructions and won. I'm quite sure that her own words will come back to bite her in this case. In 1990, she appealed it. You mean she was the attorney in the case? That's interesting. That is very interesting. Thank you, Charlie Lynn, for gifting a membership. Thank you, Dewey, for being a member. Did Lally bore them to the point of confusion? The jury instructions, I thought, were very confusing. The fact that they were not supposed to turn in anything until they completed all the forms. I mean, there's a lot of confusing things, but in my opinion, the right thing to do is going to be to call the jurors back in and examine them or ask them questions in camera, outside the presence of the media, outside the presence of a courtroom full of people. Get it all on the record. Because don't we want a fair trial? Don't we want the actual truth of what really happened back there? And look, there's only 5, right? 5, 6, how many are we up to? Out of 12? I think they all need to be questioned. I don't think they can just dismiss the counts based on 5 people. But if everyone comes in and says that yes, 100%, we all agreed on an acquittal on counts 1 and 3, different story, right? Thanks, Shiraz, for gifting 10 memberships. You're so very kind and generous. David Reese, I left the Catholic Church and eventually all religions over the first scandal. A lot of people did. Thanks, David, for chiming in. Mrs. Mojo Horizon, Jim Morrison's wife is here. My husband's a deadhead. Well, I gathered from your name. Probably you had some of that in the family. We'd be digging into Aiden's case too. Thanks, AKA Cat Lady. I don't have time to do every single case. I don't know right now. The answer is, I don't know. Mark Betterow is on that case, so I'm sure he's going to be talking about it. And we're going to get a lot of information from him now that he has been retained as counsel on that case. It's raining memberships. It sure is. Friday's hearing will be at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we will be here. As Latimer says, Yannetti's the kind of lawyer we all need on our side when things go wrong. He's dedicated and sincere, the consummate professional in the face of sheer stupid. Thank God for Yannetti and AJ. Yeah, let's take a look at some of the standout. Well, let's take a look. Hold on, let's go to this first. Let's see what CBS Boston had to say about this. But first, I have to suffer through their commercial in my headphones. So just give me a sec. Everybody says I agree. Yannetti just seems like a good guy. You know why? Excellent parents. You know why? His mom watches my show. His mom and his sister, Tanis, who was also queen. So, Mrs. Yannetti, if you're watching, you did an amazing job raising your children. You have really amazing children. We can see it. Here is the coverage from WBZ News from the other day. Just let me know that you can hear it.
There is yet another twist in the Karen Read trial. Prosecutors say they have also now heard from jurors who said the panel was prepared to find Read not guilty on the two most serious charges before a judge declared a mistrial. Now, the prosecution team has filed new paperwork saying it's heard from 4 jurors, 3 by email and 1 by voicemail. At the same time, the Norfolk County DA's office says Massachusetts ethics code prohibits them from engaging in discussions with jurors about the deliberation process. Read's lawyers say they've also been in contact with at least 5 jurors who say the jury reached unanimous not guilty agreements on the second-degree murder charge and leaving the scene, but was hung on the manslaughter charge. Read, of course, accused of hitting and killing her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. A hearing to discuss this issue is now set for August 8th.
That is the minimum that you should do if you want to be the president or vice president of the United States of America.
Can't share that. That'll cause a fight. That'll leave a mark. We are in the upside down. We're in the upside down. But at least now we know. The Commonwealth has also heard from jurors. It wasn't just the defense. And you notice how he didn't say in his affidavit when exactly he heard from them, did he? The emails? Did he say the dates of the emails? Here's a quick news piece on the standouts for those of you who are not familiar, because I know we have a worldwide audience here and not everybody watches all the YouTube channels that cover this. But here's some coverage from NBC 10 Boston, and this was regarding the standouts on Sunday.
New developments in the wake of the Karen Read mistrial. Dozens of cities and towns spent their Sunday standing out in support of Read as she remains accused of killing her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. Her case is scheduled to be retried in January. And our NBC 10's Aaron Logan joining us live in Dedham with the details on what happened today. Aaron.
Well, Priscilla, you know this. During the trial, there were no shortage of Karen Read supporters here outside court, but today they were everywhere. We're talking 32 different locations in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and
32 different locations. 32 different locations. People were standing out on Sunday. That's incredible. That's unbelievable.
even Canada standing out, continuing to show support.
Free Karen Read signs seen all over on Sunday afternoon, including here in Dighton, where her relatives spoke out.
We're all bringing attention at the same time to what's going on in Norfolk County and against Karen Read.
It means the world to our family to have complete strangers like this.
That's Kelly Reed. Hi, Kelly, if you're watching. Karen's cousin, Kelly. Hi, Kelly.
Who, obviously recognize that Karen's innocent, and they've all come together week after week, hearing after hearing, at every single trial day.
Since Karen Read's trial ended in a deadlock, new developments have continued. The defense claims 5 jurors reached out to say the group reached not guilty verdicts on 2 of the 3 charges against her, including the most serious, second-degree murder. Reed is accused of hitting and killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV. The only charge the jurors who've come forward say they're divided on is manslaughter.
Hopefully, Judge Cano does the right thing and throws out those 2, at least throws out those 2 indictments, 1 and 3.
Now, on Friday, Judge Canone is set to hear arguments on the defense's motion to dismiss those 2 charges, the ones that
It's Canone. It's Canone.
the jurors reportedly found her not guilty. Reed's family says in the meantime, they'll continue to stand out and show support. They have another standout, a national one, scheduled for September 7th. Live in Dedham, Aaron Logan, NBC 10 Boston.
Aaron, thank you. We will bring you Reed's hearing on Friday, August 9th.
So will I. So you don't need to watch it there. Don't worry. I won't make you suffer. 32 locations. That's how much support this cause has. 30, including Canada. Any of you were there? Tell me. Madam Raz, who's been a member for 6 months, says we should all be outraged. Exonerate Karen. This is going to be, it feels like the case that never ends. The case that never ends. And it's mind-numbing to me, but this is what we're dealing with here. There was another article in the Boston Herald. Let me see if I can pull this up better for you. This may have been from this morning. And for so many of you, the Boston Herald is behind a paywall, so it is my pleasure to read it to you. It says, Karen Reed jurors call DA's office. They could have picked a better picture of Karen, but whatever. They didn't ask me. Prosecutors in the Karen Reed case said that 4 jurors reached out to them since the mistrial, with at least 1 backing up the defense's claim that the jury was unanimous in acquitting Reed on 2 of the 3 charges against her, including second-degree murder. Since the first trial of Reed ended in a mistrial on July 1st, Reed's defense team has made multiple filings claiming a total of 5 jurors came forward to say the jury was only hung on count 2, manslaughter, while operating motor vehicle under the influence. The jurors said that they were unanimous in acquitting Reed on counts 1 and 3, second-degree murder, and leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death, respectfully. The defense argues that Reed should only be tried on count 2 in the new trial, scheduled for January, since the jury has indicated post-trial that they would not convict on the other 2. The prosecution fired back in a response saying, quote, the defendant's unsubstantiated but sensational post-trial claim that the jury reached a unanimous decision to acquit lacks any merit or legal foundation. The Commonwealth's post-trial notice of disclosure dated Thursday and docketed in the case yesterday states that prosecutor Adam Lally received multiple voicemails and emails from people identifying themselves as jurors stating the same thing. It is true what has come out recently about the jury being unanimous on charges 1 and 3, the first juror said in a voicemail left on July 21st, according to the filing. The same juror left another voicemail 5 days later stating, quote, can confirm unanimous on charges 1 and 3 as not guilty. And as the last vote, 9-3 guilty on the manslaughter charges, on the lower level manslaughter charges. Reed, 44, of Mansfield, is accused of striking Boston police officer John O'Keefe, her boyfriend of 2 years, with her car and leaving him to freeze and die on a Canton front lawn on January 29th, 2022. 3 additional jurors sent emails stating that they would be willing to speak anonymously. Prosecutors responded to the emails, according to the filing, by saying that the request wasn't possible. Reed defense attorney David Yannetti told the Herald yesterday that the Norfolk DA's office finally admits that they have received the same information that the defense has received from sitting jurors. Karen Reed was acquitted on 2 charges, including murder. We now expect that the DA's office will do the right thing and dismiss as a minimum indictments 1 and 3, he wrote in a text message. Of course, our position remains that all 3 indictments should be dismissed because they have charged the wrong person. Should they persist in pursuing this wrongful prosecution, we stand ready to defend our innocent client no matter how long it takes. That, I think that was today's Boston Herald. What say you, my friends? Thanks, Susie Cupcake, for becoming a new member. Monkey Biz says, I can't believe 9 out of 12 did not believe the crash daddies. They were credible to me. One guy built a cannon. There's something else I wanted to show you. I think it was a Ted Daniels tweet. You've probably all seen by now. So tell me what you guys want to talk about, what your comments are, what your thoughts are, what your questions are. We'll try to cover something else somebody else has not covered in the past couple of days when all of this stuff came out. Intolerant, this is international news. Even Bevy can't risk denying the motion. Tell me, my friends, where you're watching from, because I know you're worldwide. And you are everywhere. Mike Boyer says that we're doing a standout Sunday in Cherry Grove, North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina at 1 o'clock. This coming Sunday? All right. If you guys live in the area and you want to participate in that, that is what is happening. LJ, I agree with you. I don't think she's going to dismiss it on her own. I don't think the judge is going to dismiss it on her own without speaking to the jurors. I don't even know if she'll agree to speak to the jurors. I don't even know if on Friday at the hearing she's going to even rule from the bench. Because how many times did we hear her rule from the bench during this case? I can think of one, and it was the motion to recuse herself, which she ruled from the bench that she absolutely would not do. Mostly everything else was taken under advisement, and written decisions were issued. In some cases, taking 8 or 9 months when it was the defense who made a motion. Jason says, how do you say prosecution must have hated writing that motion but knows it will come out if they hide it? Yep. 100%. Phoebe Mix says they're all incompetent. Anyone see the motion Mello filed asking for access to private attorney-client meetings? No, but that's insane. That is insane. Yep. Kim and some were bullied in the deliberations room. Let me see if I can find that other tweet for you because somebody sent it to me. So just hang on for one little second. Well, there's another article. Here's another article. I guess this is the Herald too. Maybe that other one, maybe this one was from today and I was confused. And that other one that I just showed you was not from today. Now that I think of it. Give me 1 second. Defense gets hearing to toss murder charges. What's going to happen is going to be anybody's guess, but this is from today's Boston Herald. Motions on jury reports, double jeopardy set for Friday. Karen Reed's attorneys are continuing to push for the murder charge against her to be dropped as a juror reportedly confirmed to her lawyer that the jury had reached a unanimous not guilty verdict for that count. The defense filings on Monday were the latest in a string of appeals from the murder defendants from the murder, defendant's attorneys arguing that Reed should not face the second-degree murder charge and the leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death charge in a new trial. Reed, 44 of Mansfield, is accused of striking Boston police officer John O'Keefe with her boyfriend of 2 years with her car and leaving him to freeze and die on a Canton front lawn. So there's a lot of repetitiveness of the other article that we just read. And basically goes on to say that a hearing on whether the charges should be dismissed has been scheduled for this coming Friday. And as I told you, it'll be at 2 p.m. And it basically sort of reiterates everything that we just read. So we're going to tune in for that hearing and see what happens. But I don't have a whole lot of confidence in this judge. What say you? Thank you, Dallas Boston born and bred, for being a member for 3 months, who says, thank me for my hard work. Got your Dead and Company tickets for 3 on Saturday. Can't wait. Oh my gosh, you're going to have the greatest time. It is so, so cool. It is such a cool place. You're going to love it. Enjoy every minute. Take lots of really good video. If you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram because I'm going to post some video later about it or from it. Thanks, Lori Life 360 for the win, for your 10. We love hearing it from you, even if we've heard it elsewhere. Welcome home. So glad you relaxed. Yes, it was very relaxing, although stressful with the canceled flight and all, but at least we're not in the eye of this hurricane. So prayers up for everyone down south who is dealing with this Hurricane Debbie. L. Parker, can't she request a trial out of there? Seems the corruption is thick there. Yes, they can absolutely request a change of venue. And I think I would. I would. I don't know where they could go in Massachusetts that everyone does not know about this case. If you guys have any thoughts, some people initially had said, well, maybe Springfield, because in the Springfield area, they don't seem to know a lot about the Karen Reed case, but it seems like it's everywhere now. It's everywhere now. And I don't know where they could get an impartial jury that hasn't heard a lot about this case. Right? Friggin' Debbie. Right, Allie? Friggin' Debbie. I mean, look, I can't fault. Phoebe says, I thought for sure by now the remainder of the jurors would have spoken out. Listen, if they're on social media and they've been watching social media and they've been seeing how much hatred is out there, I can't blame them for not speaking out. I really can't. I can't blame them at all. I can't blame them for not wanting to be involved in the vitriol and the hate, and they're probably afraid. And I absolutely cannot blame them for that. When you sign up for jury duty, nobody signs up for the kind of vitriol and doxing and the hatred and the vitriol and the doxing and the personal attacks that come with this Karen Reed case. They just didn't sign up for that. And so I can't say that I 100% blame them for not speaking out. Right. Patronus Glow says, I would be afraid to speak out. I mean, you see what happens to people who just cover this case that don't have a vested interest in it. Imagine being on the jury and being responsible for a hung jury and the fact that there has to be another trial. And that's a lot of pressure. Jeanette Rasmussen says, Bev Canoni threw out everything that was important. Right. Not dismissing the indictments because of the tainted grand juries, and the mistruths that were told to the grand jury, and not disqualifying Morrissey off of this case and not recusing herself. I mean, this is crazy. Okay, so Yuri's math teacher. Was Yuri bad at math? I don't get it. Yuri's math teachers, the people in Western Mass, are mostly clueless about this. So that's interesting. Still? Chloe Albert's Revenge says, I agree with Betterow, bench trial, but put Bev on the spot. She can't put the decision off on anyone else. She can make their own decision because it would literally end her career. I would not agree to a bench trial with her. And I don't think Mark would either. I think he said that this would be a good case for a bench trial if it was a different judge. If this case the venue was changed and based on the facts and the law, perhaps a judge on a bench trial would toss it because there's just not enough evidence that there was anything other. There's not enough evidence that there was, in fact, a car accident, that John O'Keefe was, in fact, hit by a car. There just isn't. Judge Charlie Lynn says, thanks for being a member for 3 months, that the judge needs to be a witness. I'd like to know what conversation she had with them, because after she immediately called a mistrial without asking if they were reached a verdict on any of the counts, she said, okay, just go back. I'll come back and talk to you. We don't know what she said to them. I mean, I think that Mark Betterow and I are in agreement that that's why Marty Weinberg is involved in this case, because AJ, Smooth as Butter, Alan Jackson, and David Yannetti might be called as witnesses, because they are the ones that the jurors reached out to in this specific issue. Right? Debbie says she was in such a hurry to get off the bench that day. Does justice really need to be rushed? And are we really looking for the truth here of what happened, or do we just want a conviction like I was talking about in the Ashley Benefield case? Feels like every day is like Groundhog Day around here. It's crazy. Hello, Don K9. Thanks for coming in. Most people walk around with blinders on. I've mentioned Karen Reed to 100 people here, and nobody knows what I'm talking about. Where are you, Don K9? Chloe Albert's Revenge, thanks to the 5, says, I thought he said if it was in front of her, she would not be able to get away from the reasonable doubt. Oh, I don't know, unless he said that recently when I was off the grid. That could be. But when he and I were on the show together, on my show, he had said several times that he may, if he was the attorney, agree to a bench trial, but only if it was not she. So perhaps he's changed his mind since then. Well, she was tired, right? She was tired. I know. Charlie Lynn, thanks for the 5. She said she carefully considered all verdicts. We don't buy it. Mm-hmm. And Murray says they just wanted to win. Justice was never the priority. I mean, how about like a decent investigation? That would have been great. He says Bev rushes so she can get to her gape house. My. Gem Girl says, I can't believe they're putting her through that again after all the stuff that came out, the way the evidence was handled, Proctor, the witnesses and their phones, etc. And we have since learned that there are some more internal investigations going on against, the one against Fanning was dropped, right? So we have Yuri and Tully are under internal affairs investigation by the Massachusetts State Police. So there's that. How are they going to try this case again in January if there are just no more witnesses? They won't be able to testify. Not going to be able to put those guys on the stand again. Thanks, Mary Flynn, for your super sticker. Dewey says, mistrial is best for Bev. No blame either way. Phoebe Bird says Weinberg versus Lally. Can't wait to hear that. Yeah, this will be very interesting on Tuesday. If nothing else, it's going to be a great day. You're not going to want to miss it. Wicked Sights, thanks for the 5. Well, the judge said she was going to teach them the law. I don't know why they were confused, right? Remember, I pointed that out. She's not there to teach them the law. She's there to instruct them on the law, not teach them the law. This isn't law school. We're not in class. She's there to instruct them on the law. It's crazy. She did peace out fast. Thanks, McFree, Karen Reed. Thanks for being a member for 2 months. Who can stop a retrial? The Commonwealth, judge, anyone else? Listen, the Commonwealth could do the right thing and dismiss charges 1 and 3 outright, which I don't think they're going to do. The judge could dismiss it on paper, which I don't think she's going to do. She could agree to call the jurors in and question them, either in open court or in camera or in chambers, outside the presence of a camera and with the attorneys, and have it on the record. Who knows what she's going to do with regard to the jurors. With regard to a retrial, that would have to come from the DA. The DA could drop all charges, but I don't see that happening. They're in it way too deep at this point. And I think there's too much ego involved here. Marcy's not going to drop the charges. The Glare, I want justice for John O'Keefe, and I totally support the methods used in this investigation by the MSP. Blue Shirt Geniuses 2020. Thanks, Will, for tuning in. I don't know what's going on. I think they're expecting a big crowd out there on Friday from both sides because there are now going to be supporters and counter supporters out there. And how many of you are going to be at the courthouse on Friday? I guess there's no more buffer zone. Hello, Ruthann. Do you think someone in chat could let Noni know about a video came out about the house that the part? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Yep, that's true. Adam Lally's resignation. I love it when you. All right. You have the name. You have the handle of the day. The handle of the day. Remember CB radios? Did anybody used to have a CB radio? Breaker 19, Breaker 19. You used to have a handle on CB. Your handle, Adam Lally's resignation. I love when you guys change them depending on the trial that we're watching. So you win today. Or Friday's hearing may end up being 10 minutes total. Oh yeah, maybe she'll say, I'll give you each 5 minutes. Sort of like the way she gave them each an hour for closing in a case that took 9 full weeks. There were so many half days and summer Fridays and early dismissals and days off. It was a very odd trial schedule. Watching with you the Ashley Benefield trial that went on for like however many straight days of trial with no days off was crazy after coming out of Judge Cannoni's courtroom. I don't know if she'll put a time limit on it, but it should be interesting. This is a great question too, Mike Boyer. Why has there been nothing from the Boston police about their officer who was murdered? Great question. Great question. Why has there been no police presence in the courtroom before the ruling was made that police officers could not wear uniforms? Why was there never one uniform in that courtroom during any of the pretrial stuff? I don't know. It's a great question. Some of my retired law enforcement in the chat can tell you how many show up to everything, including the hospital. I don't even think anybody showed up to the hospital. Political tape, Big Fridays. Yep. Tamara Stupak Gargas says my handle is Midnight Lover. Everybody remembers there's, yep, I collect some old CB radio. You guys know what I'm talking about. We're all the same generation. Yeah, Mary says, or they'll just walk into the courtroom, sit down. She'll say, yeah, no, and court's adjourned, right? Remember that other hearing? It was a pretrial hearing that they said was not going to be a hearing on the motion. And then it turned out to be a hearing on the motion. And it was supposed to be 2 days after or something. It's been a lot of craziness going on in this trial. A lot of it. Thank you, May Cronin, for saying what seems to be forgotten is that Karen's supporters also support Justice for John. Yep. And isn't Justice for John finding out what really happened to him that night? And even if we can't find out what really did happen to him, not convicting someone who had nothing to do with his death because he was not hit by a car. I mean, that's how simple it is. He was not hit by a car. There's just no evidence that he was hit by a car. None. You can show people all the shattered, sprinkled, microscopic taillight you want. But a taillight is not going to shatter from a human outstretched arm. It's just not. There's just so much stuff in this case that it boggles the mind. Fake news. I read somewhere that they think because there was embedded into the shirt. Oh, you're talking about the microscopic pieces. Yep. That's why they thought she hit him, that shirt. It was compromised the corrupted cops in the investigation. There was no chain of custody with regard to any of the evidence in this case. I don't remember hearing any evidence that there was microscopic pieces found in the shirt. I remember hearing one of the witnesses say that the shirts were scraped. All the clothing was scraped. It was all put into one bag. I think now, if this case is going to be retried, which it seems like it is, that the defense knows which points they need to hammer home in their 60-minute closing, which was not anywhere near enough time to be able to close on a case this complex. But yes, a lot of people think that. They are convinced, and they make videos about it, and they put them on TikTok, and they put them on YouTube, and they pull videos from anybody who thinks that John O'Keefe was not hit by a car, and they clip out certain pieces, and they spool them all together to make these, like, what they think are really funny videos about anybody who has the balls to say that John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. So there you go. There's a good video clip for you. There's a good sound bite for whoever's going to make one of those videos next. Duty says, heard on YJ, there's a cop who was asked to remove the taillight. Wonder if he will be subpoenaed. We don't know. Shiraz says, I could swear Lally mentioned microscopic taillight pieces in his shirt. Just another thing they failed to produce. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in the clothing that just didn't happen. Or the evidence was not brought in, or we heard from 65 witnesses. And it wasn't until something like the 62nd witnesses that we even learned how Officer John O'Keefe died, allegedly, or what caused his death. Because for the first 8 weeks of trial, all the prosecution did was try and prove who didn't do it. As if they thought, well, if all of these people didn't do it, the jury would think, well, then she must have done it. What happened to everyone in Canton's camera footage on January 29th, Mary? I don't know. Nobody had a working Ring camera, but, media was told immediately. Immediately. Investigators had Ring doorbell footage of the incident. And that's the story the media ran with. And so for many people, me included, I thought, wow, what a tragic accident. She hit him with her car. They've got video of it. That's tragic. And anybody who didn't really look into it and read all the court documents just thought it was a tragic accident. And then we come to find out there was no Ring video camera footage of Karen hitting John with her car because it didn't exist. Because apparently nobody's Ring camera worked on Fairview on the night of January 29th, 2022, or January 28th, leading into January 29th. David says, Lally claimed they were microscopic, but 1/16 of an inch. That's not microscopic. Nope. It's not. Everyone get out a tape measure and measure 1/16 of an inch. It is certainly not microscopic. Thanks, David, for coming in with your super chat. Laura says, hindsight is 2020, and the defense will be much more prepared this time around, especially with the Sallyport video, which was sprung on them last minute. Yes, and inverted. And inverted, too, right? And it wasn't even admitted until cross-examination that video was inverted. So tell me, was it intentional or was it a mistake? Because none of the other video cameras inside the Canton PD Sallyport taped in an inverted fashion. Only that one camera? That's kind of funny since they're all in the same system. I don't know. Huh. Lally lied like crazy about the dimples on the glass BS. Yeah, there was so much stuff that I think it was just spaghetti being thrown at the wall in an attempt to confuse the jury, and apparently it worked. I thought it was going to be so easy. I thought it was just going to be they would go in, and had I been involved with or in charge of making that verdict slip, the first question would have said, number one, do you believe that Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe with her car? Yes or no? If you answer no, stop. You're done. And I'm sure the defense must have argued for a verdict slip that read something like that, and they were shut down. But that's what the verdict slip should have said. That would have been fair. I've been following someone that breaks down testimony for truth and lies, and he's identified Higgins, which lines up with microdots. Yes, you know who that is. I'll tell you who that is. That is Sergio Denaro. He's my buddy because I sent him an email if I could use one of his videos. And if you guys haven't seen it, he said I could show it. So if you haven't seen it, let's watch it together. Should we watch it? Or have you guys already watched it? The name of his channel is called Truth Revealed. Oh, look, he's got 2 parts. And they're too long, actually. So one is 29 minutes and one is 36 minutes. But I'm going to put up the name of his channel for you so that you can go give him a follow later. It's called Truth Revealed. He's got 2 parts of Higgins. One was 7 days ago, one was 4 days ago. And he's going to drop his Ashley Benefield stuff on Friday. So we did look at a short trailer of that as well. So thanks, Christy, for pointing that out for people. Here's the name of his channel so that you guys can give him support. But why don't we just put it on for a second now, because I don't want you guys leaving to go watch it right this second. But let's just play a little portion of it so we can see what he has to say about it. Or let's put on part 2, since that's the one that dropped most recently. So what he does is he breaks down language, and he says, tell if people are lying or telling the truth. And I like his methods. So let's just take a quick look at a little bit of this. The lie revealed. Higgins' role in O'Keefe's, does that say, death exposed? What happened?
To the people that were together at the table. Read, I did not have any.
All right, here we go.
During your time at the waterfall, what, if any, conversation did you have with Miss Reed? I did not have any. Okay, this is too forceful and it indicates deception. He should have said, I didn't have any. Plain and simple, he's lying. On this date, did you have Miss Reed's cell phone information? He says, I did not. This unattracted denial indicates deception here. This is very important as we get to the next question. At the time that you were at the waterfall, he says no. Okay, that's forceful and direct. We learn objectively here that Higgins can lie with a direct no. But then we also get the luxury of a follow-on question here. You recall sending a text, and then Higgins says, oh, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question again? And then Lally says, oh, I know we've jumped around a couple of days. At this point, Higgins has had Miss Reed's contact information for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. It's not even possible that he could have not known this. But let's explore that route completely and say, maybe he forgot. Maybe he didn't understand the question. Maybe his time frame was messed up. It wasn't, because he says, I did not. If this was an honest accident, he would have said, I didn't have her contact information then. And then when he asked it again, he would have said, no, I didn't have it. And then when he says, oh, you didn't send a text, and then he would have been like, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. There would have been a legitimate reason, but he didn't give any of that. He shows deception, and then he gets called out on it. He was trying.
So that's what I find so interesting, right? Is that so many people on the other side of this, and this goes back to when I was on Core TV a couple of times in January with person who will remain unnamed but has the initials JC, and it's not Jesus Christ, but also maybe known as the Pink Panther for creeping up onto the steps of 34 Fairview to take some video, who kept saying during those appearances on Core TV, well, what about Higgins? What about Higgins? What about Higgins? You know, why is everybody always pointing out Higgins? Why is it that when, is it Nicole Albert, not Nicole Albert's sister, but the other sister person out there who's been attacking Aiden Carney in public and being arrested at some bar, whose name I'm not going to be named, she who must not be named, is also saying, well, what about Higgins? What about Higgins? Why is everybody always bringing up Higgins? It's crazy, right? Yes, we don't name them because, you know, they want to sue everybody for defamation. Yes, I know. But whose sister is it? Julie's sister. Julie Albert's sister. So Colin Albert's mom's sister has been out there, and she's losing it. She's very upset about everything that's been going on to her family, and she's not afraid to say it. And it's been devastating to her. But she also has been bringing up Higgins as well. So everybody's bringing up Higgins. So it's kind of weird, right? Can I read out his professional career so that everyone can understand? Yes, let's do that. And you guys can go back and watch that later. Let's go to his channel. Let's look at him. It says, welcome to Truth Revealed, the ultimate YouTube channel for mastering deception detection. Join our team of experts as we equip you with the skills to unravel hidden truths and separate the fact from fiction. Wait, does it say? Is this his, though? It's kind of makes it look like there's a bunch of people who are on this channel. So where's his actual bio? I don't know. Where can I find it, Kate Lewis? Where can I find it? So go back and watch that later. But I just think it's odd that people could keep bringing him up. And why all that testimony about his Jeep and his Jeep being parked in front of the driveway, and none of it ever tied together. It was never tied together. Just so bizarre. Right, Jane, he's the only one not related. Yeah, he is. And then the pig DNA, right? The pig DNA, which comes from pig ears, which dogs chew on. But where's Chloe? Where is Chloe? I read something the other day, I don't know if this is true or not, that Higgins may have been sent to, I don't know, a place to clean up. I will tell you that when I handled all the cases against the Catholic Church, there were, pedo camps that they would send the priests to try and rehabilitate them, which in my opinion is impossible because I do not think a pedo can be rehabilitated, but nobody asked me. They were sent to a place in not Connecticut, but Pennsylvania. There was a well-known place that they were sent to straighten them out. There's also a place in Brattleboro, Vermont that is well known for law enforcement officers who have troubles that they are sent to sometimes to have rehab or therapy or, PTSD treatment and stuff like that. And remember that I'm not saying that this is true or not, but I'm just saying Higgins was off the grid for a little bit. Remember? They couldn't reach him. They had Kevin Albert reach out to him because nobody could find him. Chloe's in Vermont, allegedly. Did Higgins go to Vermont at some point too? We don't know. A lot of interesting things that are starting to kind of make sense. No, he's not a pedo. I'm just saying there are places like that, like camps, where they send people for certain rehabilitation. Hang on one second. It's funny because sometimes my kids have to look on YouTube to see if I'm live, so they know not to not to just bust in when I'm on. But apparently, this kid didn't, and then was like, "Oops." I'm not saying at all he's not a pedo, but there are places where they send officers just like they send priests to clean up, right? That's not fake. He went off the grid. He disappeared for a while. We don't know. Misadventurous Book Mouse, thanks for the 5. Aussie Insider has been working with someone to recreate the Sally Port footage using the same style cameras to find all the ways it might have been tampered with. That's very interesting. This case is only going to get better for the defense. It's not going to get better for the Commonwealth. It's not. Because the defense has so many people, so many creators out there like Aussie Insider working with people there are so many channels out there that are recreating the video, that are trying to figure out what happened, that are really invested in finding out the truth, that the defense is having so much more help than the prosecution ever will, in my opinion. You didn't blind anybody with science. Chloe Albert's revenge, but she had shoes on, so many shoes. I mean, that was it for me, right? That was the deciding factor. She didn't take off her shoes because she knew he wasn't coming home. I can't even believe that with a straight face. He said that in his closing. She knew he wasn't coming home. She knew he wasn't coming home. That's why she felt like it was safe to go into the house with her shoes on, not once, but twice. Twice. Can you believe it? Iron City Choppers, thanks for the 5. I have inside info from a best friend, a former DSS agent, and federal marshal. The DOJ and FBI has a lot more evidence. Well, let's hope that it comes out and we can stop this Shonda Mishigas of a trial from happening again and wasting all the taxpayer money that it's going to cost to retry this case. All that taxpayer money. If you guys are in Massachusetts and you're paying taxes, you should be outraged. David said, David Reese, Lally failed at belying the jurors with science, so he dazzled them with BS. I know. I heard that the Norfolk DA's office was hiring. There was a job posting out. I don't know what it's paying. I don't know if he's leaving, but I don't know if anybody's going to even want that job. That's a job that nobody might apply for. Trish Paquette, thanks for being a member for 2 months. I wish our justice system allowed jury questions for every criminal case, like in Maya. Love you, Melanie. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Maya was a civil case, but yes, Florida in some cases does allow jury questions, and it's up to the judge. But did anybody just watch the Christina Ritchie trial? Did anybody watch that? Christina Ritchie stabbed and killed her firefighter husband in, where was it? Marshfield, Massachusetts? It wasn't Mansfield, in Marshfield, I want to say. And she was just convicted. And she claimed spousal abuse. And the prosecution claimed that her husband, it's spelled Ricci. And every time I saw it, I was thinking of Christina Ricci, the actress. But then during trial, they were pronouncing it Ricci, but I would pronounce it Ricci, because I'm part Italian. And the prosecution's theory was that he had an affair. It was admitted. They even called the woman he had an affair with to the stand as a witness. And that she just could not get over it. She just could not get over it. So there was all of these, right? It was Christine, not Christina, right? Christine Ricci. Ritchie, but they pronounce it Ritchie, Ricci. It was Marshfield, thank you. And she was convicted. Was it murder too? And it was very sad. Yes, the children testified. It was very, very sad. It was very sad. I didn't continue to watch it because I was covering Ashley Benefield at the same time, and it was too. I was too single thread. But that was crazy. Intolerance says yes. The Ricci trial was run just like the Reed trial. Foreman picked before the alternates. Defense closes first. Interesting, because in Ashley Benefield, we just watched that trial together, many of you and I. And the prosecution closed first, then the defense closed, then the prosecution had a rebuttal, which was literally like another whole closing because a different attorney did it. And it wasn't limited to what was in defense's closing. It was wild. It was wild. Chloe Albert's Revenge says the job at the Norfolk County DA's office pays in taillight pieces on a German Shepherd. We try and make jokes. There's nothing funny about this at all, but we don't laugh. We might cry. Playlist suggestion. Thanks, Phoebe Bird. Here Comes the Judge by Shorty Long. Thank you, Taz, for being a member for a month. Sending love, hugs, and respect. Thank you so much. Pilgrim Shadow. Thanks, Maz, for all your work. Don't tell me this chat ain't got no heart. And that's right. We're not full of hate here either. We're full of love. Thank you for your Grateful Dead quote of the day. Again, coming in for the second stream of the day with a 20. I appreciate you so. Marcello, hello. I think you're in Argentina, right? Thank you for your super chat. Do we know what happened with that federal proffer that Yannetti said Higgins had? Nope. Nope. We have emojis. Members, can you put some nope emojis in the chat? We had so many emojis made just for this trial. Also, did you see how the Commonwealth wanted to see client attorney communications from Turtle Boy? I was baffled. No, I have not seen that, but now you have all piqued my interest. Where can I go find out about that? Young Jerks? I'm sure Mike was covering it. So I need to go take a look at that, I imagine. Thank you, Martello. Laura, thanks for the deuce. Did they say John threw up pig DNA from food? Nope. But was he eating potato skins at the bar? I don't know. But again, they said they found it on the clothing, right? The clothing that clearly had, puncture marks in it. The shirt. The swabs were the tech, the CSI tech who did the swabbing of the shirt took 3 swabs and rubbed 3 of them together around every single mark or some marks that she deemed important. Puncture mark or rip on the shirt, all of them, put them all into one envelope together. So I would submit to you that's not the proper way to collect that type of evidence. But, those on the other side will say, but there's no dog DNA on the shirt. Still doesn't mean that Officer John O'Keefe was hit by a car. I don't know, science, physics, No big whoop. Whatevs. Whatevs. Oh, truth revealed. I forgot to take his little banner down. Well, anyway, go follow him. Like, give him a follow. Tell me what you think. Come and for me in the comments respectfully, because this is my platform. I can delete the hate, and I do. I delete the hate. You can come for me in the comments respectfully, but ain't no time to hate, my friends. There ain't no time to hate. Yes, correct, Melissa. Pig DNA is found on dog bones, chews, and treats. That's 100% correct. Tom K9 says all John's clothes could have been washed, and whoever put them back on them could have been eating port rinds for all we know. Yeah. Well, we do know there was no chain of custody on those clothes. They were on the hospital floor, and then they were put in a bag all together. And then allegedly, if you listen to the lead investigator, who turned out to be Yuri Buchanan, testify, they were laid out on butcher paper. Maybe the pig DNA came from the butcher paper, because maybe it was used butcher paper, because, I mean, solo cups, right? Solo cups, leaf blowers. It would only make sense that there was used butcher paper that had been used to wrap up pork from the pork store, Satriali's. That's what happened. I solved the case. Solved the case. Kim wants pork rinds now. Thank you, Tammy, for your super sticker. I appreciate you so very much. I mean, we know there were high top tables, Stop and Shop bag. Yeah, the Stop and Shop bag was used, the solo cups, the leaf blower. I mean, doesn't it only make sense that it was used butcher paper that they laid the clothes out on? Because that was definitely a thing. They definitely sell pork at Stop and Shop. They do. Yep. Mike Boyer says the bulkhead doors were removed from the Albert House. Why? I have questions. Did the new owners replace them? The new owners had to let somebody into their house because there was video of that bulkhead and the bulkhead doors. And there was a videographer coming up the stairs and coming out the bulkhead doors. And then they zoomed in on the doorknob down below. And I was waiting for that to be tied up. And then Brian Albert said he didn't recognize it, remember? He only recognized it when the videographer came out of the bulkhead doors. And then he recognized the fence. So yeah, there's that. So many things were removed from 34 Fairview, says Dewey. It is so true. Thank you, Tamara Stupak, for telling me that Chief Helena Rafferty has her house up for sale. Thank you for calling me Tammy. Who called you Tammy? Did I call you Tammy? Tamara. She has her house up for sale too. Everybody's moving. Everybody's moving out of Canton. Can you blame them? Thank you, Braveheart Forever, for loving me. I love you right back. I love all of you. I still can't believe. I can't believe that we're still here. I can't believe we're still here, screaming into a closet, just like I have been ever since I started covering this case with you all the way back in January 2024. It seems like just yesterday, and yet so much has happened since then. Lisa Lee says, even if the dog didn't bite John, he should have still had Chloe's DNA on him, considering she lived there for 7 years. Her DNA should be all over that yard. Even if the dog didn't bite John, yes. Yeah, because he was laying on the yard. I wanted to know where the socks were. I still want to know what happened to the socks. He was wearing socks in the hospital because they showed a picture of him on the socks. I don't see that the socks were ever logged into evidence. My theory was that if he did go in the house, he would have taken off his shoes, because Nicole Albert, who, by the way, I heard that she and Brian might be on the outs. I don't really know if that's true or not. If you guys have any information on that, let me know. Nicole Albert did say that she took her shoes off when she came in the house, right? Because there was a little bench inside the front door. That's why she went into the front door instead of the side door, because there was a little bench there. She could take off her shoes. If John O'Keefe did go in the house and he went in the front door or the side door, and he did come from a shoeless house, he would have taken off his own shoes in respect for the people who live there, right? So wouldn't his socks have had dog hair on them if he did go in that house? And wouldn't that have been a great way to prove it? But what happened to the socks? Where did the socks go? That's what I was thinking, Night Owl. Where are the socks? I want to know what happened to the socks. Right, Phoebe? If he came from a shoeless house, which he did, because they tried to say that Karen was guilty because she didn't take her shoes off. How rude. He knew he wasn't coming home, so she didn't have to take off her shoes. Wouldn't he have taken off his shoes in someone else's house as a sign of respect? And there was a blizzard coming. We all know about the weather. Perhaps Nicole Albert, who liked to clean a lot, because we learned that too during her testimony and lots of other testimonies. She did like to clean. She was cleaning all the time. She was cleaning all night. Wouldn't she insist that everyone take off their shoes, especially because of the weather? I don't know. Right? Right, Martha? We never knew where the socks went. These are things I want to know. And if Tanis Unetti is watching and Mrs. Unetti, pass it along to the defense team. We are curious about those socks. That's just another missing piece of evidence. In my opinion, those are things I need to be tied up. Mistrial, dog hair on the socks for sure. Yuri kept them. I don't know. It's crazy. Right, Harmony? 100%. Harmony says, no matter how often I sweep, there's always cat fur on my floor. Truth Revealed thought that he was put into the garage, Myers says. That's interesting. I need to go watch those Higgins videos. I suggest we all do that after this, and then we can come back and talk about it on another stream. Thinking about this case makes me so angry. I love you, but I gotta go cool down. That's okay, Dewey. Sometimes you just need to take a breath. Sometimes you just need to take a breath. Unit says, Police 101, when you get hit by a car, you lose your socks. Well, yeah, that's what they tried to tell us. That was the reason that his shoe fell off, right? Because he was hit by a car, 24 miles an hour. That's why his sneaker came off, and that's why they found it against the curb, by the way. Correct? Corn Pope says apparent hairs were found on his shirt, but not tested. Either way, I wouldn't trust the evidence in this case. There's no chain of custody. Nope. Jim Aaron says he was put in the garage and brought out in the Ford Edge. I mean, listen, Lucky was one of the most credible witnesses in the entire trial to me. He had no skin in the game. He had no axe to grind. In fact, he grew up with the Alberts. He knew them all. He was friends with them. He knew that they lived there, and he didn't call to have that Ford Edge ticketed or towed because he didn't want to get them in trouble. I don't know how the jury just didn't believe him. Who knows? We're never going to know unless a juror speaks out about the conversations they were having, which they are allowed to do, by the way, but nobody has done so far. We're not going to know what they were hung about, what they were hung on, what the sticking points were, what some people believed and what some people didn't believe, and what they were trying to convince each other about. Unless anybody wants to come out and write a book, we're not going to know. Thank you, Lori Weeks. Thanks for the 10. I'm here. Late to the lab as usual, but how thrilling. Oh, well, I'm so glad you made it. So glad you made it. And we've had a lot of Grateful Dead references tonight because I was in Vegas watching my favorite band. And that's where I've been. Everyone was so worried about me, thinking that I was so shook by the Ashley Benefield verdict that I couldn't come on the air. But it's really because I was in Las Vegas seeing the Grateful Dead at the Sphere with friends and family and having a grand old time. And then my flight got canceled because Delta. And they made me stay in Vegas an extra night. And I got to say, no offense to any of you who live in Vegas, but I hate Vegas because I hate cigarette smoke and cigar smoke. And everywhere you go, it's like you just can't get that smell out of your hair. Yes, Sydney Collins, 3 types of blood DNA on John O'Keefe was never tested. Nope. No. Why would it be? Right? I'm sure Ashley Benefield's lawyers are going to appeal, Jeanette. I'm sure they are. I think there's a couple of grounds for appeal. Appeals take forever. And we'll have the sentencing before we have the appeal on that. Thank you, Della. This is what I was going to say because I lost my train of thought. Della says, in my opinion, they were going to pin it on Lucky, but close to family and brother on the town council, I bet they wish they would have. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that might have happened. What if they were going to pin it on Lucky, and that's why they, whoever, like we don't even know, could have been a neighbor, could have been, could have been anything. He could have slipped and fell. We don't know. We don't know what happened. What if Lucky was intended to be the fall guy by whoever may have been involved in this? Not even saying that I can't name any names. I have no idea. But when Karen got up so early to come and look at him for him, the plan had to be a pivot had to happen. I mean, if somebody's phone happened to Google Hoss Long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. Because, the phone just does things by itself. I mean, listen, in this case, evidence revealed itself crime scenes spoke to investigators, but dials galore, and then but answers galore, and then things just Google themselves. It was perhaps known by, I don't know, a phone, that perhaps somebody was out in the cold and was still clinging to life. Because remember that the first responders who did respond to Officer John O'Keefe's body did say that there were signs of life, right, in the beginning? Breath sounds and things like that, or maybe that was from the CPR, but they did say, I think, that there may have been some signs of life. So many crazy things happened, and perhaps there had to be a pivot, and now it had to become a thing. He was hit by a car. Was it going to be a plow in the beginning, and maybe it would have been deemed an accident by the plow, perhaps. But imagine, after seeing Lucky's testimony, thinking to myself, I thought to myself, what if he was the one who had to defend himself against these charges? Do you think that he would have been able to afford a defense team in the same caliber that Karen Reed has? Do you think it would have been deemed an accident? Do you think that he would have been able to fight any criminal charges, or was it just going to be ruled an accident? We don't know. We'll never know. Debbie Blair says, so horrific that they put him outside to die in the cold like that. A fellow officer, if they can do that, they can do anything. I don't know who did what about anything, but I just, makes sense. Miss Mojo says, so horrifying. John Monagle, hi. Jen Googled Hasselong to die in cold at 2:27. Now listen, and in all fairness, it was her phone. It might not have been her, but her phone did it, maybe by itself. Because, it may have reverted back to a time instead of 6:23:24. Lucky drove by at 2:30 and the body wasn't there yet. Jen's search shows premeditation. Battle of the experts. One expert said it absolutely would not revert to an earlier time when you just opened the browser. And another expert told you that Celebrite data is completely unreliable, even though he worked for Celebrite, and said that Celebrite knew that its timestamps were all wrong, and that's why they had to redesign their software. And how many defendants right now are clanging on the jailhouse doors or prison house doors in Massachusetts saying, let me out because Celebrite is unreliable, and that's how you convicted me? Crazy, right? Thanks, little cupcake. Please hit the like button, everyone. It really does help with the algorithm. It really does. And again, if you were going to Google something in the morning, would the search be Haas long to die in cold, or how long can you survive in cold? Think about it that way, right? Yeah, and I wonder if he's still working for Celebrite too. Somebody should look up his LinkedIn and see if he's still got Celebrite. I don't know. I was watching the stock price of Celebrite for a little while, Margaret, to see if it was going to tank after that. But it really kind of didn't, because it was only at $12, I think. It was like at $12.20 when we looked it up that day of his testimony. Something like that. Yes, Stella, they never proved Karen Reed was drunk either. Kim says Whiffen used the wrong iOS and phone. Yep. Jason Smith is imploring everybody to go back and watch Trooper Paul's testimony. It's bananas how unbelievably stupid that was. Not sorry. I'm not sorry either. I'm not sorry you said it. I'm glad you said it. It was laughable. And the fact to me, I think either SNL was on hiatus or the writers were just not watching this trial, because they really missed out on so many opportunities for comedy sketches, because it was comedy gold. And I really feel like when Trooper Paul got out there, he really thought that he was going to be the star witness and he was going to prove this case. And his theory was amazing. He thought that, he was given like the scavenger hunt, right? Like I said about the scavenger hunt, when the MSP showed up to do the scavenger hunt at 34 Fairview, and they said, all right, here's what we need. Here's what's on your list of scavenger items. You got to find a sneaker, a hat, and some broken taillight. Ready, set, go. Well, Trooper Paul, they gave him the stuff and they said, okay, here's what we found. Here's where it was. But we didn't really measure or document when any of this stuff was found. So don't worry about that. You reverse extrapolate reverse engineer theory as to how this could have happened. And he did it. He did it. There was a pirouette. There was an arm that was outstretched. There was a cocktail glass that broke a tail. Who even knows what it was, but he really thought he was going to be the star witness of that trial. And instead, it just turned out to be a laughable theory that could not be, in my opinion, because really that's all I have to give you is my opinion, that could not be completely shattered by the testimony of two incredibly highly educated PhD mechanical engineers hired by the FBI who were not hired by the defense, who said, no, it didn't happen like that. There was no pirouette. There was no shattering of taillight. Just science. Couldn't happen. They built a cannon to shoot a cocktail glass at a taillight even. He was so happy about that cannon, wasn't he? It was awesome. Thanks, Della, for your deuce. Says thank you for the Ashley and Karen coverage. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching, because without you, I don't have a channel. And without all you hate viewers, can you hit the like button while you're here? I see you. I know you're here. Thank you, Elle, for the 10. I love you too. Right back. Thank you, Marcello, for becoming a member. Welcome all the way from Argentina. And Della, thank you. And Sarah and Schwackenhora for the 20. Thank you so much. Trooper Paul's testimony sounds like something a college kid would say after too many edibles. Yep. Bless his heart. Now they're talking to animals in the grass. How about all the pieces of taillight just revealing themselves as the days went by? And how about Buchanan testifying that he told his guys to drive by 34 on their way to and fro work just to see, if anything else would reveal itself in those days. Boy, I bet Internal Affairs is having a field day with that one, huh? What do you think? What do you think they're investigating? What do you think they are investigating Buchanan and Tully about? Any thoughts before we wrap here? Give me your thoughts on what you think they're investigating them about. You think it's about this case, about something totally different? About other things? What do you think? Thank you, Tim. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome. Not afraid to say what I think, and I take a lot of crap for it. I don't curse on this channel. I have a lot of viewers who like to watch my show with their kids in the room and no headphones or at work. Or do you object, Mr. Lally, Mr. Oh yeah, that was like, mommy, please help me. Mr. Lally, do you want to object? Do you want to object? I'll allow it. And she would say, I'll allow it, like it was a putt, like it was a gimme putt in a match game. If you know, you know. If you're a golfer, you know. It's like a mulligan. I'll allow it. You can pick up your ball. You don't need to putt it out. Pick it up. Timely Matter says Crash Daddy should be the only witness they need. Agreed. Oh, Auntie Deb is amazing. Auntie Deb was on my show one day, you guys, when we were on Verdict Watch. Auntie Deb came on my show. Love him so much. He's amazing. He's such a kind person. Really great guy. Subscribe to Auntie Deb. He's been doing some really funny lives. I was on there one day and he did a whole trivia show and it was so fun. And he's also a teacher, a math teacher. And everyone sent in to him our answers on the trivia. And he actually sent everyone's answers back graded in red pen with amazing handwriting. But he does some really funny videos about the Karen Read case. Please check him out. Go subscribe, both on YouTube and TikTok. It's Auntie Deb with 3 B's. So funny. You're right. SNL missed out, but Auntie Deb absolutely capitalized. And I wish him all the success in the world because he is such an amazing, amazing guy. So amazing. Yep. Kindness Cake says, Trooper Paul's famous testimony. It just did. It just did. Well, how do you explain that? How did it happen? It just did. Right? Close says, obviously behind, but half is behind. So, but half and Karen Read be guilty of leaving the scene. Oh, how can Karen Read be guilty of leaving the scene? She did not kill John O'Keefe with a car. Count 1 is not guilty. The others do not apply. Yes or no? My understanding is that there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of confusion because in the jury instructions, as we went over a couple of times on this channel, the judge said, if you find that the defendant set into motion a chain of events that led to John O'Keefe's death, And then I think that is where it got all confusing. I think maybe some people might have thought, well, maybe she hit him, but she didn't know she hit him. Well, maybe she dropped him off there and something happened to him, and therefore she set the chain of events in motion that led to his death. Because I would say, right, if they don't find her guilty, if they're acquitting her of leaving the scene of an accident causing bodily injury or death, if they're saying she's not guilty of that, how could she be guilty of causing his death by motor vehicle? Right? It just defies logic. It strains credulity. I have merch that says that. That was from the Maya trial. It strains credulity. Grumpy Granny says Brandy Churchwell had Trooper Paul's testimony with Lally cut out in her podcast. I was laughing out loud. So funny. Yep, he pirouetted with his phone. I love Brandy. So happy to promote her at any time. Kate says he pirouetted with his phone. Right. The puffy coat guy. Right. That was Timothy Nuttall. He was so convinced there was a puffy jacket. As convinced as he was that Karen said I hit him. Right? You are correct. Thank you. I can't read what that says. Getting in the car. Thanks for the 5. I use tools for a mass dot at TP Mest. You just have to plug in the numbers and use high school physics and Newton's laws. All right. I'm going to take your word for it. Thanks for this 5 spot. Yep. Crazy. So funny. Trooper Paul says Cheryl. So crazy. Still laughing today. Well, we have to, or else we're just going to cry. Andy T. 741 says, I think the whole chain of blatant corruption and cover-up is being investigated. I think the root has to be cut out, not just the tip of the iceberg. That is very interesting. Erin says, exactly. This case, aka the death of John O'Keefe, is about science and physics. The taillight doesn't line up. It's an attack on our common sense. Thank you. Thank you, because I think so many of us have been gaslit throughout our entire pretrial coverage of this case to think that we're crazy, but it doesn't line up. It's very, very simple. Patricia, thanks for explaining a standout and for showing the new stuff about it. I never heard the expression. You're welcome. Cam Robinson, no broken bones from the neck down. Ugh, how can they not understand this? Anybody who's ever been hit by a car as a pedestrian will tell you. Not only no broken bones, Kim, no bruises. No bruises. Except for what they say are not dog bites on John O'Keefe's arm. Right? It's crazy. Ms. Monterey, raise your hands if you're still confused. Anybody? Yep. Set the chain in motion is too vague. And in my opinion, if I had to really think about it, which I've thought about a lot, could they have thought set the chain in motion could mean, oh, she left him there. So therefore it set in motion a chain of events that led to his death. Maybe he slipped and fell, hit his head on the fire hydrant after he got out of the car. Maybe he was running to the front door, slipped and fell. She pulled away. We don't know. Right? But in my closing to the jury, or maybe I would have said something like, if you are sitting back there thinking of any other way that this could have happened other than Karen Reed hitting John O'Keefe with her car, that is reasonable doubt, and you have to acquit her. That's it. Game over. End of story. Full stop. Period. Full stop. Oh, mistrial. When do we get part 2 of Sandra Birchmore, please? I'll do that this week. That's a great idea. Please put in the comments things you would like to cover this week. We are going to be back here on Friday for Karen Reed, unless something else drops before then. That's the only thing she's guilty of, says Deborah, is leaving him there. Right? Friday's hearing will be interesting, to say the least. Anne says Karen Reed cannot be held accountable for what happened to John O'Keefe after he entered the Alberts house. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. Thank you so much, Barbara, for the Venmo, and all of you for coming here today. We're going to wrap because there's not a whole lot more to talk about. I love hearing your thoughts, and I love hearing what else you guys want to talk about this week until Friday. Thank you, Margaret, for being a member for a month. Are there any other trials happening right now? The live trial coverage is the most fun, I think, because we can really dig deep. But remember, the guy never went. Tell them the guy never went into the house. Hey, it's Chaos Coordinator. Go back and watch Matt McCabe's testimony when he was presented with those text messages, because you will see the look of shock and horror on a person's face. He was like, oh my, how did they find these? Hi, Laura. Thanks. I would like you to look at Preston Lord's murder in Arizona. Is that old, that case? A couple of people have brought that up to me. So, okay, I'll take a look at that. Preston Lord says such corruption and protected affluent people. All right. Yeah, exactly. Sandra Birchmore, we're going to do that. We need to go to part 2, in which we will we'll look at all of the MSP investigation on that. All right, Sarah Boone. I'm going to have to, if I'm going to do Sarah Boone, I got to start from the beginning, because that's a crazy case. And I mean, yeah, I think I can do that pretty in one show. I think I can catch up on all the Sarah Boone stuff in one show. If you guys want to watch that, happy to do it for you. And I don't think that trial's happening until October. So we need something before that. We need something like coming up like next week. So feel free to write to me, fanbase@mlittlelaw.com. However, I do read your emails. I do not respond to all of them. I also cannot be your pen pal. And I also cannot call you on the phone. And I also cannot send you any video chatting or anything like that, or review your legal documents or give you any legal opinions. But the email is there for that, for kind emails and for subjects that you would like me to cover. Fanbase@mlittlelaw.com. Thank you, mods, for keeping the chat classy tonight. As always, you are amazing. I could not do this without you. Please hit the like button. It really helps the algorithm and this channel. Thank you if you are a member of the channel for loving me enough to want to commit to a monthly subscription. We need to have a members only soon, because we are overdue for that. We usually do them on the full moon because everyone's feeling the full moon. Thank you for jumping in here, Iron City Choppers, with a last minute 5. The prosecution needs to hire Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'm telling you, it just can't get any crazier, can it? Viewers, replay viewers, love you all so very much. And as I always say at the end of every stream, well, first go follow me on Instagram, because I'm going to post all my videos from the Sphere, and they're really pretty awesome, I got to say. And just like, be cool, be kind, be classy. It's not hard. Really, I promise you, it is so not hard. Ain't no time to hate, my friends. Peace.